Okay, guys, I'm pretty excited right now because I'm ready to announce, Jason, we have hired a new producer to produce Escape Hatch.
Wow.
I'm
Who is it?
it's Claude, obviously.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
but
How's it
so
work?
well, we're gonna find out. But so I fed it our every episode we've ever done,
Okay.
full transcripts, and then B, all of my planning documents that I have used to type up all my notes and everything. And then I give it my raw notes now that I take while I'm watching, for instance, Battlestar Galactica, where I'm taking down notes through the whole thing. The hardest part for me for prepping is always taking my notes and then consolidating them into the 3 to 5 points that we try and do. That's like an annoying piece. So I had Claude do that. I had to get all the research, the behind the scenes stuff, write a synopsis that I could then edit, have the guest information, write the intros and outros. It's pretty good, dude. I got to tell
Jesus.
you.
Can
Yeah.
you just do my part and I can skip? Have we
That's all
gotten
we
to the
need.
part where we've just like automated the banter?
The watching of the movie and the recording of the episode. You get those two done, we'll be set.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
It's pretty exciting. Although I will say, there was one tense moment where I was giving it feedback, and it had taken my notes the first time, and it kind of synthesized them and added a bunch of like pithy comments and stuff in the midst of it. And I was like, "You don't need to add the comments. Just literally just take my stuff and move it into multiple buckets. That's the main thing I'm looking for." And it's like, "Okay, got it. I'll do that. I'll shut up." Okay. And I was like, "No, not shut up. I'm not telling you that. I'm just saying I don't need you to synthesize it. I just need you to do
I've
that."
seen the
So
way that you talk to your Claude, and I don't think it's great. I don't think the way that you're talking with Claude is amazing.
I,
I think you
I
need
had
to I think you need to consider where you want to be when the robots come for us.
that was open AI, but since I have been working with Claude, I have been going above. And apparently this Model 47 is like really sensitive to this, right? Have you read this?
Yes.
I have read this.
So like my question to you guys is, do I need to have separate names, genders, personalities for my Claude code, for my Claude, app, for my producer? Like
Yeah,
how
well,
far do we
definitely
go?
the thing that I think you should do, given the journey you've been on the last 4 months, is whatever deepens the AI psychosis that you are clearly on a journey of. Whatever gets you through this. Like the first rule of holes is keep digging. So just really pile on. I feel is what's necessary at this point.
Did you see the thing that I wrote about
Yes.
the stages
The
of
stages.
yeah, and
Yeah,
AI psychosis is one
Amazing.
of them. And the sooner you get over the psychosis, the sooner we can kind of all move forward as a society.
yeah, it's
But
true.
so many people are just entering it now still. And of course,
Yeah,
we've got everyone's got to enter it at
bunch
some point.
bunch of waves to come.
Yeah. So like strap in because it's not gonna be short.
Well, how is it having an award-winning AI startup, with an incredible product, Particle News, that people can use right now, download it from the App Store? It was just selected by Apple App Store as one of the top apps of the day. Like, how is it for you, like literally every day, all day, professionally in the trenches?
Well, the App Store thing is like, an incredible honor, of course. It's been interesting because we've had, everyone in our team, every single person in our team has gone through this journey
Yeah.
where over the weekend, over the holidays, some people were, playing a little bit around with the new model, the Opus 4.5 at the time, with Claude
Mm-hmm.
Code and started to get a taste of what was going on. So others kind of maybe caught up a little bit later, especially on the non-engineering side. But everyone has gone through this journey of like, oh, this is different. This is incredible.
Yeah.
And then, going through the psychosis of like, I can build anything and I'm doing this, in all my waking hours. And then on the other side of it, coming out, like, what does this mean for my role? Right? Like, what does this mean for my role? What does this mean for my life and my identity? And if, it's been an interesting exercise to go through as a team. It's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of, um, discussion and philosophy and just kind of like trying to support each other as we all individually go through this like identity journey. And I
Right.
think we've come out on the other side in a pretty healthy way.
It's fun. I hadn't really thought about this until you started talking about this journey through AI psychosis. But like there's this when Particle was before pre-particle, like we were in this like all day kind of offsite with that I was with Ev Williams, and Sarah was there, and Marcel Molina was there, and we were just trying to like kind of think through, you guys were like thinking through ideas that were interesting, and I was just kind of hanging out. And Marcel, and this was like, how long ago was that? Was that like 3 years ago, maybe? Like it was
3+ years ago.
more
Yeah.
than 3 years ago.
Yep.
So this is like pretty, this is well before, like, you know, this is just basically ChatGPT existed. Like there wasn't really a big basis to believe of what was coming. But Marcel was already clearly in what we would now call AI psychosis. Like he was just like, listen, nothing else matters. You don't understand like how fast this is going to go and how much this is going to change. And we were like talking through like different, he's like, the AI is just going to fucking do that. You need to stop thinking that. And I was just like, okay, Marcel, like, why don't you just chill the fuck out? Like nothing, like it can't even count the R's in strawberry. Like, I don't really know if it's going to be all that. And it was just clear that like, he was like really he had like, I mean, you know, he'd like just sort of seen where this was going faster, I think, than other people. And yeah, and like it took me until like January of this year to basically reach that same point. So yeah, I mean, like, you know, it'll be like, you know, everyone else on their own, we're all riding our own horses, as some podcasts like to say.
There's like a tipping point for like most people, or like people like us or whatever, where the AI went from being like a tool that you kind of can still kind of put a shape around to being an actual partner and like in your workflow, like you know, really adding real value. And I think, you know, we had all assumed that would happen at some point, but like 3 years is a pretty short amount of time. Yeah, but like 3 years is a pretty short amount of time, like going from like, because we had in that conversation that Jason's talking about, like we had talked about like, is there a point to even building UIs, right? Like you know, the AI will just decide what UI is best for that user and it'll build it itself. We were so far away from that at that time, right? So it was like, it was an interesting, right? It was an interesting thing to think about, but we were so far away from that like, it was like, I don't know if that's going to be 3 years or 10 years. Like, sure, we'll get there eventually, but like, that's, you know, it seemed really far. And then when that kind of horizon was passed or met or whatever, I think it really like changed something in the human brain, where it's like, this is now a thing. It's an entity. It can actually think on its own and provide me with new valuable insight that I did not come up with myself.
Yeah, the moment for me was like, I was like in January, February, something like that. I'd like taken up this app that I've been working on in previous versions of AI, this transcription app. And like, you know, I worked on this like 2 years ago or something like that. And like, you know, got to a point where it was like, it kind of doesn't work, but like, whatever. And like, I was like, all right, let's try it again. Like, it was brittle, very brittle. I mean, it is still brittle, but like, you know, it was like, it wasn't fun to kind of continue to try to improve by like copy and pasting between like VS Code and like, you know, and ChatGPT. Like, what about this? What about, you know, and I was like, all right, let's just try it again. And like one shot, like, you know, a really valid MVP. I was like, okay. And then I was like, well, this is pretty exciting. And then like, I was like, all right, but now I'm going to like product manage this shit. Like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do the job that I actually know how to do, which is like, I'm going to spec out like what we want to build for version 2. And so I was like typing into Cloud. I was like, okay, we're going to work on version 2. And I'm thinking about the following features. And instead of like hitting like a space enter, like, so I could like start doing my enumerated list, I just submitted, and Claude was just like, oh, great, version 2, here's what I'm thinking. And like produced like a PRD that like included all of the things that like I was going to list plus 6 that I wasn't. And it was just like, yeah, what do you think about this? Like, we could, you know, give me what you think are the top ones. I was like, well, first of all, fuck you. And like, you know, it was, as I was like, all right, well, you know, I'm washed. That's it. That's a wrap. Good. We had a good run.
I was experiencing that the other day, where like I was putting stuff in Claude Code and waiting for it to finish it, and I was getting kind of frustrated. So then I just opened up a note on the side and started typing up the next thing I wanted it to do, the next thing I wanted to do, next thing. And then I would like grab those and drop it in, and it would start executing on that list, and I would go back and I would start writing again. It becomes very exhausting to do that, right? Where that stuff is flowing so fast out of your brain and onto paper and then into the machine and then getting the responses back. That fatigue, I think, I can imagine being a developer, being a product manager, you know, doing this for realsies. is
Well,
going to be doing that
the
much.
thing that it's like eliminated is like, you know, it used to be like if you were managing engineers, the thing that you wanted to maximize for was flow. Like you wanted to like not interrupt engineers to like so that
Right.
they could enter flow state and like produce code like in a sort of like semi-conscious state. Like
Can
where
you
like
imagine being? I was really good at that. You would imagine, right? Like,
yeah,
can you
exactly.
imagine
Like
being my engineer and having me
yeah,
as your
no,
product manager?
you were yeah. So like but I mean like Claude, like the entire LLM driven way of like generate of code gen like basically makes that impossible. Like
Right.
the only one in flow is Claude. And so it is just like this whole new ADHD like way of working that like I mean there's a reason why it is the golden age for autists right now. Like it really is like sort of their time to shine. Yeah, I don't know.
Ander got annoyed at me yesterday because I still don't get it. The fact that my Claude skill that I'm building to be my producer can't get the stuff that I need that's already in Claude code. And it was like, oh, just ask Claude code. And here it wrote up these specs for like what it thought it should be asking Claude code for my Explore app. And I'm like, you don't need to tell any implementation details. Just tell me what you need and I'll ask Claude code for you and it will tell you what it can give you, which it did and it was fine. But that whole step of pasting back and forth and asking, you know, trying to connect these different things that are all Claude, I don't understand why that problem hasn't been solved yet.
I don't think it's long before it's solved. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's just like
Yeah.
those are just kind of
They're
UI
launching
relics.
7 features a day right now.
Yeah.
Like it, like
Right.
this you know recording this on Tuesday the 21st. They're just like, yeah, we built all dashboards we built. If you need dashboards, we do all dashboards now. They replace GitHub Actions like on a Friday, just as like a casual Friday release. Like they're just looking at like the stack of how software is built is like, yeah, fuck that whole thing. And you know, and like it should be said, like, you know, it's not like it's all is seamless. Like, you know, like it's not like it all works necessarily. Like it's gonna take a while to like, you know, to iron it out. But like the scope of what is being tackled is all of it.
Yeah, April was like, this is the greatest product that has ever been built by humans. Like
It is like it's like a Google moment where you're just like oh, like all of it, like all of human knowledge. Okay.
Right.
Sounds cool. It must be nice.
Yeah.
Well, so Jason was working on his side building this incredible transcript app, which I've extended.
We've got to track the number of followers the number of listeners we lose by talking about the apps that we build. Like it's got to be like we don't have that many to lose, but it's gonna be there's gonna be cancellations.
But I have
keep
often
talking
thought
about this.
like, when are we going to productize this? When are we going to take this out? To
so
other
fucking
podcasts?
crazy
and
that you think
Sarah,
that.
that's essentially what you guys have been building as a side project. Is that right? You're like taking podcasts and generating content based on that.
So we started by bringing podcast clips into Particle News. So every story where someone is talking about it, we've taken that clip and brought that and organized that into the news story. So you don't have to go out if you're like, I want to know what people are saying about this thing. You don't have to go out and find out where and which podcasts and where in the podcast, because podcasts are long, obviously. We just take the relevant clips and attach those to the story. So we've kind of just like reorganized that from an information perspective. But that's it's a lot of really good data and it's kind of locked in the Particle News app. So what we're building right now is an API so that we can unlock that. And then there's a bunch of interesting use cases around that for brand monitoring or entity tracking and all that kind of stuff. All of that happens quite a bit for the open web, but not yet really for podcasts. And we've got an interesting take on that. And so we're trying to like organize all of the podcast information, have it available as an API. So you can vibe code your own dashboard if you want. We're going to provide some dashboards as well. And so we're going to launch that soon.
No, it's really smart. That's really smart. I think there's this whole world of data and information discussions that are happening. Some of it's in podcasts, some of it's in YouTube clips, some of it's in TikTok. And like, you know, some of those platforms are hard to access because of terms of use, but like there is a world of data in terms of what people are talking about and what matters to people that has been only understood through anecdote or by like kind of skimming the top ones that is about to be accessible, that I think is going to really blow people's hair back when it comes time. When, you know, I mean, obviously there's implications for commercial reasons, but it's also just like, coming at from the politics standpoint, like it's always the question. I was like, did this break through? Is like anyone talking about this thing? Like we announced this
Right.
new thing. Is it like, did it matter to anyone? Like, like the only currency that matters is attention. And so, the measurement of that market is intrinsically valuable.
I like it. I like it. Well, speaking of things that are not necessarily intrinsically valuable, Jason, I just wanted to pause for a second and get your take on Palantir's manifesto.
Yeah, it was interesting. I did read it, and I was like, it's an interesting document, because it's crafted in a pretty clever way where you have to really kind of pull apart you have to pull it apart a little bit to kind of understand what's going on. And I think like there's some like very obvious dunks that can be made, such as like calling for a draft, which are interesting. But then there's arguments like the one that's like, we don't think that like public service should be like, you shouldn't be impoverished to have to like to work in public service. And there's an element of that which is like a really good argument. Because like, the fact that like, particularly at like state and local levels, the fact that public servants are so poorly paid that like you only get people who are incredibly ideological or have enough money that they don't care. Like that is a problem. I do think in general, like one of the issues we have with candidate selection, like the candidate pool, is that politics has become such a distasteful business that like the only people who run for office are the ones who are like billionaires who can just like kind of afford to spend stupid amounts of money in the race, or are like narcissistic sociopaths, right? Like, like there's, if you're someone who is like charisma positive, there's many more lucrative and interesting ways to leverage that than running for office. So that's like a real problem. But when you squint at it through the rest of the manifesto, what Palantir is saying, it's clear that it like basically means like, no, like self-dealing is kind of chill. Like we should like allow, we should allow our electeds to self-deal. Here's a side point. It's been a while since we've hyped up our boy Ezra Klein on the pod. I was listening to this morning Alex Borez interview with Ezra. Alex is running for the New York 12th for Congress, and he is former Palantir guy, was on their GovRel team, and New York State Assemblyman, wrote the AI Raise Act for New York. And is running for Congress.
From his description,
he's very reasonable. He's not an AI doomer. He's a technocrat. He was made like sort of enemy number one of the Lead the Future PAC, which is funded by OpenAI, Mark Andreessen, Palantir, Joe Lonsdale, those folks, because they wanted to make an example of him to be like, fuck this guy in particular for trying to like regulate AI. If you try to regulate AI, we're gonna fucking come into your primary and destroy you. That was expressly their intent.
It's like the AIPAC playbook, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's backfired because I don't think Alex was like, this is a jungle primary. Like there's like a ton of people running in this race with like real coffers in New York politics. And I don't think he was going to be the favorite, but it's really shining a light on his candidacy. And one of the interesting things is like going back to the Palantir of all is the attack ads that they're running against him emphasize the fact that he worked at Palantir. So like Joe Lonsdale, Palantir co-founder, is spending his money to run attack ads against this guy, and their attack on him is like, this fucking Palantir guy, which is like both shameless but also like so interesting in terms of how they understand like the negative brand equity of their own company. I could do Palantir now. Palantir continues to be the most fascinating of the malfeasance of Silicon Valley to me, as we've talked about at length on this pod. And this is yet another example thereof.
It's getting wild out there, guys.
It's really interesting. It's an interesting time.
There was a super interesting Times article this morning about how Russia has gotten really good, speaking of Palantir and Anduril and these guys, has gotten really good at being disruptive and being very entrepreneurial and kind of distributed in their drone and weapons technologies. And so
Yeah.
they're sort of like training people off the street and taking any ideas and funding startups and stuff. And then they're very quickly able to get stuff done. And even Ukraine, same thing. Like they have like an Amazon style interface where soldiers can log on and choose which drones they need.
Yeah.
And, they're doing now these more autonomous, so yeah, it's definitely we're getting closer to all the movies in your portfolio, Sarah. Here on Escape Hatch, they're all.
I was trying to find this book because in the interest of both sidesism, I was going to say that the United States, like one of our fundamental flaws was not recognizing that drone warfare was going to be the future of warfare, and the Biden administration actually bears a fair amount of blame for that because during the Biden administration kind of went with we want like the old crusty generals involved, and like the people who are like pushing for like more innovative change were like sort of pushed aside. And so like there was a whole plan under the Obama administration that was like about was doing like a more innovative drive, like an X Labs version for defense, and it basically got delayed by a decade because of just like the military industrial complex. Like it turns out some of the people who do not want like faster, cheaper, out of control are
Raytheon.
Are like your major arms manufacturers who are making billion-dollar contracts to sell weapon systems that don't work.
Oh boy, your tax dollars at work. Well, we're going to put all of that aside and have a good time and look at humans being good and taking care of business.
And bad. Good and bad.
Good and bad. But we welcome back to the pod, Sara Beykpour.
Woo!
Yay. Thanks for having me, guys. Always fun to be on this pod.
It is great to have you back. Last time was Gravity, which was a banger for me.
Love Gravity.
I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
So tonight we are doing one of the greatest reboots in television history. We've talked about it for a long time. We've mentioned it a million times on the pod, but we are finally doing Battlestar Galactica, the miniseries. And we will getting to that in just a moment. Before we do, Jason, next week on the podcast, MG Sigler is back.
Wow. All of our throwback friends. All of our first season friends.
Exactly.
This is great for our farewell tour.
Absolutely. Technologist and writer. Sarah, come to the meetup on December 18th for Dune Part 3.
Oh, I've already blocked it off my calendar.
Oh,
I
good.
expect to be there.
Very good. Very good. So MG, we'll see whether he'll fly in from London, but we are tackling with him. He did Memento with us. And he did Interstellar with us. So he's been carving out some Nolan. So I went back to him, and we are doing Christopher Nolan's magical thriller masterpiece starring Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, The Prestige.
Yeah, I like I mentioned last week, I watched ahead during spring break. And so I watched Battlestar Galactica on the plane ride, and I watched The Prestige on the plane ride, and I was like, this is great. Our programming is kicking ass right now.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, that is next week, The Prestige. Can we do some quick Hatch news?
Hatch news from beyond.
We called it out, Jason, while we were recording. We knew that Dune Part 3 was about to descend on CinemaCon.
Yes.
And
we're now a week and a half late talking about this.
Exactly. The invasion happened, so I refused to read the descriptions. But apparently this is
good. We're both late and will not be actually talking about what happened. Please come to your one-stop shop for Dune news. Both late and vague.
Battle, right? Like super epic battle.
Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to talk about it, or you want to not talk about it?
Just vague talk. Come on.
I mean, look, Sean Fennessy, like multiple commentators said, it's basically Denny doing Saving Private Ryan. As you will know from our trailer discussion, our teaser discussion, like we speculated there's like a bit of like the jihad happening as they go to foreign planets. And so it seems like the first 7 minutes are the execution of this jihad in a like just truly visceral level of detail. And I have read the description, and it seems fucking bananas. Like I was like, how does that? Like, what are you talking about? Like, because it's not just, it's like both like Saving Private Ryan in terms of kinetic warfare, but then also with shit that doesn't exist. Like, you know, with like sci-fi shit. It seems phenomenal, and it seemed like they put out the 7 minutes to be like, we've got this one. We know we got this one. It's gonna blow your socks off. So I'm stoked. It's gonna be great. Shout out to Denis. Seems really good at making movies.
Cannot wait. Sarah, are you Dune Part 1 or Dune Part 2? Which one is your favorite? You have a ranking of them?
She's never seen them.
I was literally in the same theaters that you were for both.
I
of
know.
them. I think I rank 2 above 1.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Just
they're both good. They're both
back
good.
and forth.
I think
Really,
there's
really
the thing, the like the way they make you really feel amped up about Timothée Chalamet before they will later tear you down is really well done. Like the whole point, and I know you guys have talked about this, but the whole point of like making him seem like this hero when he is not, which is the whole point. It would fall flat if you didn't buy into it, right? Like if you were like, if you didn't like him, or if you didn't like want to root for him, then you would not feel later betrayed. And so I think they did a really good job of emotionally attaching you to him for the, you know, for the gut punch.
And establishing in Part 2 how reluctant he was to do what he's doing, right? It's literally when he's like, there's no other way to save Chani. So you kind of have a little bit of vibe there. Well, we're very excited about that, Jason.
I have 2 pieces of Dune news, so let's see what else you got. What else is on your list?
Well, my next piece is I'm willing to admit that I'm gonna lose my only Kalshi bet I ever made. I signed up for Kalshi to bet that Avengers Doomsday would move. They're not moving. They're sticking it out, and they've introduced, since they can't get a single IMAX screen, they're introducing Infinity Vision, which is literally just a marketing stunt where they say any screen that's big enough or has enough of a sound system or is Atmos or whatever, that counts as Infinity Vision.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty good.
Right?
There's still time for them to change their mind, right? Like they
can absolutely change their mind. They can.
It's getting pretty
close
this
now.
Bet.
Like the whole pre-cooking is gonna the troops are getting in the chute on this one pretty soon. So I don't know if they can really move it, but they might. It is pretty amazing. Whoever came up with that in Disney HQ really cooked. They must have been fellas. I got it. Infinity Vision. It's really a feat of marketing to say that with a straight face.
That was definitely an act of desperation. All right, Jason, you are back. We are back, and we are ready to keep going.
We're still in Hatch News.
We're almost done. So I also refused to watch the Avengers Doomsday trailer, but I assume that'll be launched at any given time. But anything you have to say about like Marvel definitely shook, right? They just laid off most of their visual development.
They should be worried. Whatever they're doing.
Jihad is coming for them.
Yeah, their bullshit's done.
I'm really worried that there's too much hype on this Avengers movie and there's too many people in it, and there's no way they can meet the expectations.
No, their whole way of making movies doesn't make any sense. It's terrible. It needs to end. Death to the mouse.
Okay. They can hear Timmy chanting in the distance. Coming to get them. Oh my God. All right. Are you guys ready to get into
I have
this
two
movie?
pieces of Dune news. You thought you were going to skip me. You're not going to skip me.
I forgot. No. I don't want to. Please. Jason.
The Elden Ring movie, directed and written by Alex Garland, has a release date in 2028. Which is very exciting. They've announced casting. Matt, you're never gonna believe who's in the Elden Ring movie. It's an Alex Garland movie. Can you guess who might be in it?
Sonia?
Yeah, she's in it. She is in it. She's in the movie.
Callie from Civil War is in there as well.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's a good looking cast. Wishaw. Is in the movie. Jonathan Pryce, the High Sparrow, is in the movie. Nick Offerman is in the movie. It's going to be great. And Peter Serafinowicz, who played the armorer from Dunk and Egg, is in the
Seven
movie.
Kingdoms?
Yeah,
Wow.
he's in the movie.
Guys, I
March
just wanna-
3rd, 2028.
Yeah,
Get hype.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Wait, 2028. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have some time.
We have some time. Yeah, I'm very excited.
Speaking of Garland, guys, now that we've done Battlestar Galactica, the miniseries, that means we could do devs.
Yes, it's a timely time for devs. It's a timely time for devs. We should do devs.
All right. Stay tuned. And your second piece.
Took the whole family to see Project Hail Mary.
Wow.
Whole family went to go see Project Hail Mary on its IMAX release. Saw it in IMAX Metreon. I loved it. Love seeing again.
Yeah.
I think it is amazing in IMAX, especially like SF IMAX being so big.
Yeah.
We were also pretty close. We were like row D because like tickets were pretty sold out. And I kind of liked it because I just liked seeing it. Was just like so big. It was like so much Gosling, like inescapable Gosling. And you definitely notice like sort of the aspect ratio changes at that distance because when it goes big, you're like, Jesus, like the top of the frame is gone. The kids, like it's a 2.5 hour, 2:45 movie, long movie for the children, who are 5 and 7. They liked it quite a bit. Loved Rocky. Have been saying amaze around the house since then.
Cool.
Juniper had a lot of good questions. Unfortunately, Juniper does give the edge to the Super Mario Galaxy movie as her favorite movie thus far this year. Which is a tough beat for me. But they enjoyed it and were very attentive to it. They did great. Like the watch the whole movie.
How they like the Odyssey preview?
We arrived as the movie was starting. We did not. We did not. We wanted to minimize the amount of time of butts and seats. So literally arrived as the movie was opening. But yeah, I loved it. I thought the the karaoke scene still rips my face off. I do think the third act still drags, even though I knew it was coming. It's a little less so now you know it's coming. And when it's funny when he leaves, when they part and he goes and like it's before he comes back, Juniper's like, is this movie almost over? She was like, I was like, it's a good question. You may well think that this is the end of the movie, and yet there's 30 minutes left.
It's a savvy media read,
Yeah, it is a savvy media read. Yeah, she was great. They did great. Shout out to my kids watching a long movie.
I haven't seen it yet. I have read the book, so I'm not going to be spoiled by anything. I just every time I look at the IMAX Metreon, which is where I want to see it, the only available seats are 10:15 p.m. and that's just like a non-starter for me. So I'm just waiting a couple more weeks until I can get like 7 p.m. seats.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Very good. Very good. All right. Are you guys ready to get into
let's
this
go.
movie?
So say we all.
All right. Here we go. Battlestar Galactica is the fragile line between survival and annihilation. 40 years after the end of the Cylon War, Commander William Adama is on the eve of decommissioning the aging battleship he commanded in that fight. But he and his skeleton crew, including hotshot Viper pilots Kara, Starbuck, Thrace, and his estranged son Apollo, quickly find themselves the last military force standing when the Cylons, aided by the unwitting narcissist Dr. Gaius Baltar, unleash a devastating sneak attack that wipes out the colonial fleet and billions of human lives in a matter of hours. Adama's mission to take the fight to this new enemy is complicated when Secretary of Education Laura Roslin, abruptly elevated to the presidency as the 43rd in line of succession, insists his priority is instead protecting a ragtag fleet of 50,000 survivors on the run from certain destruction. Now, Adama must unmask an enemy that's already infiltrated his ship, give his crew hope in a mission to find a new home on the fabled lost colony of Earth, and teach the Cylons to regret ever picking a fight with the Battlestar Galactica.
That's great. Good synopsis.
Ooh, That's a big synopsis.
Big
This
synopsis.
is a 3-hour miniseries, so there's quite a bit.
Is it that
in there.
long? I don't think it's that long, is it?
It was 3
It's
hours.
3
Yeah.
hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, two 90-minute episodes.
Oh,
All
wow.
right. So, Sarah, what is your history with Battlestar Galactica, the reboot, Battlestar Galactica, the original series? Any of that stuff there for you?
So I watched the miniseries and the TV show and its associated movies probably in 2014, I want to say. So not too long after it had originally come out. Loved all of it. Never watched the new one, Caprica or New Caprica or whatever they called it.
Right.
But
Yes.
loved all of it. Never watched the original, but went really deep in the lore with Richard Hatch. So I used to go to Comic-Con all the time,
Mm-hmm.
every year, and the BSG crowd was very strong at Comic-Con, and Richard Hatch would often be there, as well as Bear McCreary, who did the music. And there was like several panels that like were like recurring every year that they would kind of all be at. So I would go to those and see them all there. So Richard Hatch, you guys know the Richard Hatch story?
Oh yeah.
Tell
Go ahead.
us though.
Yeah,
So
go
Richard
for it.
Hatch was the original Captain Apollo in the original Battlestar Galactica, and then he plays Tom Zarek in the series, so not in the movie, but in the series, which is just like an incredible homage to him as an actor and a character. He is really annoying, as like the character is really annoying in the series, or at least that's my memory of it. So I had to kind of work through that a little bit, but he's kind of an incredible person.
Well, yeah, and we'll get to his full story, but he had tried really hard to reboot the series himself, and produced a trailer for Battlestar Galactica: The Return or something, and he just couldn't get it to happen. Battlestar Galactica: The Second Coming. So he had been on, and then was kind of famously against the miniseries when it came out until it was a huge hit, and then was like, okay, this is actually very good. And then got on board with those guys, which is super cool. Jason, how about you? What was your history?
Never watched the original, had no knowledge of it, and then just was very excited about the reboot. Like, just sort of like it was in the air that it was going to be good. I remember being excited it was coming out, and like watched it from the jump and was like, this fucking slaps. Let's go. And it was great. Like, watched it religiously and watched it with my wife, my now wife. She loved it too. It was like a big event for us. What was the year? When was what's the date of the miniseries again? When did it actually come out?
Started 2004. So the miniseries was 2003, and then the series started in 2004.
Oh,
Okay.
Wow. Okay. It was
That's earlier than I thought.
Remembered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real early.
So I guess I talked
days.
her into watching it after we started dating, which is an audacious move. Maybe she was watching it on her own though. I don't remember. She was excited that we were doing it today and excited that Sarah was here. She says hi. Crystal says hi.
Oh, hi, Crystal. I miss her.
Yeah.
So I was born in 1970. So I was 8 years old in 1978 when the series came out. And so this was hooked to the veins. It was, obviously Star Wars had come out in theaters, but for me it was Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, obviously Star Trek, Buck Rogers. Like, these were good TV shows that were definitely feeding my mind all the time. And I just absolutely loved it. And I remember the pilot, and like maybe they did an original movie, I think, that was served as the backdoor pilot for that series. And I saw that multiple times. They might have even released that in theaters at one point, but very into that. And then immediately got on board when the miniseries came out, and then watched the show as it was coming out week to week, 100%. And the thing that was really, really cool, this is an artifact that, as far as I can tell, has disappeared entirely from the web, but Ronald D. Moore every week would record director's commentary.
Yeah, crazy.
And so I would watch the episode on Friday, and then Monday morning, driving in from San Anselmo to Soma, I would listen to the behind-the-scenes commentary. And he would always have which whiskey he was drinking, and he would say whether the smoking light was on, whether he was smoking cigarettes, or if his wife was home and he wasn't able to do that. But it was just incredible to hear him walking through all of the details of the episodes and what they did. And it wasn't released on any pod platform or whatever. And I think those episodes are just not available.
Someone has them. Some Tumblr kid has them. But like,
I would love to get my hands on those. Like,
yeah.
Ron Moore is incredible.
Yeah.
And has made many of the TV shows that I love.
I do think that's an aspect of what made Battlestar exciting and why I was into it, was that like it was clear that like Battlestar and Ronald Moore, and they understood like sort of the importance of the internet fandom in a way that was like early, I think, for like for that shows. Like I think it was like sort of something that like they're like no, like we're just gonna like, we're like all the people who are like, you know, like doing recaps and like people who are like sharing like GIFs and like all the Tumblr folks, like we're gonna fucking play into this and like we're gonna give them as much as we can to keep them happy. And I thought that was smart.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, well, let's do some quick behind the scenes. So again, the original 1978 series, Glenn Larson, it's a Mormon space opera, is how our producer described it.
Yeah, I've incidentally I found all the MP3s for the podcast. It took 2 seconds.
Oh, good.
Okay. Very good. They were not there the last time I looked for them. So these are like the sacred texts of COBOL or whatever.
Yeah.
You found.
Well, where did you guys find the miniseries? Did you have it on DVD or did you have to buy it?
I bought it on Apple Pay.
Bought it.
Yeah, I bought it on Apple.
On
Apple TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it on Apple TV. It said it wasn't
It's confusing. It's confusing, Sarah. I'm glad you bring this up. Because in order to get it on Apple on the Apple Store, what it used to be called the iTunes Store, I don't know actually what it's called. You have to basically buy the box set, I think, of like the entire. I just was like, yeah, okay, I'll buy the entire BSG box set. And
wow.
and yet the miniseries is not episode 1 of the box set. The miniseries is like comes at the end of at the end of season 1. So it like took me. I was like clicking around on my phone trying to get this thing to work as I was like flying back, and I was like, I gotta watch this fucking show. Like this thing needs to work, Tim Apple. And it took a lot more clicking than it should have to watch this miniseries, which is why Tim Apple was fired.
I did see the box set, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that. And then I found it on Prime instead, and I think I spent like $12 on this miniseries.
I think I spent $60 to watch to record this podcast
on it. So
yeah.
Well, so yeah, it was definitely. I didn't understand. I thought, isn't the Sci-Fi Channel? I think it was Universal. So like, why isn't this on Peacock? Why am I paying for this? In any case, like this should be quote unquote free for me. But in any case, so the original series, 1978, Glenn Larson. This was. John Dykstra he leaves because George and he can't stand each other. So he leaves ILM and comes over and creates some of the most incredible models, the Viper ships, the Battlestar Galactica design, like all that's the Cylons and all that. Just absolutely incredible. But the show was $1 million per episode for 24 episodes. So it was crazy expensive, immediately canceled. They did a show called Galactica 1980 where they arrived at Earth in 1980 and basically did Kung Fu style episode of the week, solving mysteries or whatever. It was terrible. So that was rough. We talked about Richard Hatch getting involved. Ronald Moore showed up being completely burned out after working on Star Trek for a decade. TNG, DS9, Voyager. He worked on Enterprise. He got hired to go on Enterprise for the second season and quit after less than a month. He's like, I cannot deal with Rick Berman anymore. I don't want to deal with him anymore.
Rick Berman sucks. That seems universally agreed.
But more than that, he's like, I'm sick of doing sci-fi. I'm sick of technobabble. I'm sick of like all these alien races and all this shit. I want something that is grounded. So his idea, naturalistic science fiction, and he gets hired by Sci-Fi Channel, and he basically comes out with a document that laid out all of their goals of what they wanted to do. There was no resets. There was practical sound in space, documentary style, camera work, all of those things. It almost got passed, but ultimately Sci-Fi Channel, they were willing to buy in. They wanted something that was much more traditional, but they were willing to buy into his vision. Including the idea of gender swapping Starbuck and Boomer, who were both male characters originally. Jason, what's your take on there's something about here
On
that
women
there was some,
having roles? I'm for it. I'm a feminist, Matt, unlike you. Continue.
this post 9/11 allegory and kind of some of that context that we're operating in here.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a thing. I was reminded of that because I was like, as I was watching the show, to me it felt much more on the heels of 9/11 than maybe it actually was. Like, it was several years later. I was just like like there's, as a show that covers a lot of 80s, 90s, and early 2000s science fiction genre, TV, like you can really tell, like, when something is pre 9/11 and when something, and this is just like very strongly post 9/11. And we were talking about in chat and in the Discord about like sort of the show goes off the rails in later seasons, and like there's this whole six being tortured, like another six being tortured by the crew of the Albatross or whatever, the Atlantica or whatever it's called, and like how uncomfortable that is. And it's like, it's very uncomfortable. It's also clear that was meant to be their like sort of Abu Ghraib commentary, and so there's a lot of stuff that's in there that's like meant to be that's very just is entrenched in the shock of the post 9/11 free fall.
They did a whole I mean, this is how long Gaza's been going on. They did a whole Gaza thing, right, where they had suicide bombers that were fighting back. And I remember at the time thinking, like, this is wild that they are tackling these real world issues
when they're on the planet. You mean like when they do the thing? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Like is terrorism ever a justified means of resistance? Yeah, I mean, they went there with a lot of they tackled a bunch of shit. They really did.
Pretty impressive.
Sometimes effectively, sometimes not.
Sometimes not so much,
yeah.
But yeah, there was definitely some effective work that they did.
Yeah.
The budget for this film is $17 million. It had 3.9 million viewers for part 1 and 4.5 million for part 2, which was the highest rated original programming in Sci-Fi Channel history.
Wow.
They blew those Dune shits out of there, man.
Yeah, they just don't give a
Sorry,
shit.
Paul. Let's see. At the same time, in December 2003, Friends is in its final season. Lost, just about to premiere.
Oh, that's crazy.
At the box office, Return of the King, The Last Samurai, Elf, Bad Santa, Love Actually, strong season for film.
Yeah.
The Matrix Revolutions, Lost in Translation. When?
Yeah, Lost in Translation. That was a good little pocket. It was a good little pocket.
The Cooler. I've never seen that one. That's
Cooler's
Clyde, right?
great.
Yeah.
I mean, kind
Check
of.
it out.
It's interesting.
Okay, very good. And Kill Bill Volume 1. Good times. All right, Sarah, where do you want to start? What's the first thing you want to talk about for Battlestar Galactica?
Well, I think where I would like to start is a character analysis of Gaius Baltar.
Oh, let's go.
Because
all right.
In my memory, I remember him being, annoying. But I thought, I was probably like, I wasn't being generous enough that we should, my memory of it was probably exaggerated, was what I thought. And it was not exaggerated. This guy has no moral compass, no sense of responsibility, accountability. And it was just as bad as I remember. And I just love the way, what's the actor's name?
Let me pull him up because he's on Slow Horses.
It starts
now.
with a J. James
Callis.
I just love the way he plays that character. This, like, I'm a victim of my own circumstance. The expression on his face, I think he does just a fantastic job of portraying this, like, this very spoiled human.
It's
spoiler
interesting.
alert, not human.
I'm glad you started with this because it ties into our earlier Palantir prelude, because Gaius Baltar, like,
they're gonna come for me first.
Yeah, like Baltar really is sort of like the original like tech bro defense contractor fuckboy, like, who like has like no like moral compass. And like, and as a result, like just ends up immediately over his skis as soon as the shit goes down. a
And
pretty fun character.
continually promoted and given more power and more opportunity to do stuff.
Just failing upward constantly.
Constantly failing upward. It's kind of amazing how long like they're able to sustain the tension of that character too, because like he is odious, but at the same time, like they frequently have to make you care whether or not he survives or not. Like, you know, like you frequently have to be like, no, we can't actually just fucking shove this guy out of nowhere right now. It's a tightrope they walk for a long time. It's very interesting.
And I mean, if we
go ahead.
Well, just like, you know, taking his story arc to the very end. Well, I don't know, actually, maybe you guys do, of how much they thought about how they would end the show before they started it. But I do think they put a really nice bow on his character.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
I can't even remember the specifics of what happened other than the core idea of where they ended up. And just being furious at the ending and just turning it off and being like, God damn it, you fucked it up. So that was for me. It did not work. That did not land for me. But I definitely had this feeling of his performance, I think, is really amazing. And also you're seeing both the power of him, his ability to react to situations and figure out how to make them work very quickly, but also the idea of being tormented. Like that notion of Six basically haunting him and then constantly fucking with him and throwing him off balance. I thought was really, really effective. And I forgot how much fun that was as a kind of storytelling device. That really worked.
Totally. Yeah. I love the Six of it all is pretty amazing.
Oh, Six is fantastic.
I mean, I guess
this show is horny. That's what my notes say. This show is horny. So Jason, let's talk about Trisha Helfer.
Yeah, that was going to be my rejoinder first point, which is like, I had forgotten, like as Sarah had forgotten how annoying Baltar was, I forgot how hot Six was. I'll just be honest. Like Six shows up and I was like, good Lord. I mean, like, you know, fair enough. Like, who wouldn't sell out the human race given the stakes here? Like, this is unreal. Like, just absolutely, just one of the most, like, you know, it's like when we did Rear Window and we were talking about like Grace Kelly, just like, oh, like, you know, a transcendental angelic beauty decided to act on film for a while before relocating to the ethereal plane. Like, must have been a fun diversion. Truly an incredible performance as Six. Amazing wardrobe, amazing performance, really crushes it.
And like just a raw sexuality, right? Like the Grace Kelly is like this this angelic beauty.
Yes.
This is just like, this is a power of sexuality.
Yes.
Even from the beginning, the opening scene, that whole scene at the beginning on the Armistice space station where they haven't shown up in 40 years. Like all of that setup is so cool.
It's so cool.
You don't know what's coming. And then when the new CGI Cylon robots, you come out, oh, those are cool. And then she walks in and you're like, whoa, what is even happening?
Yeah.
So amazing. But, you know, she's banging that guy. She's getting it going with Baltar. You've got Boomer and the Chief get busy. There's just a lot of action going on. It's you know, people are human. It's like it's an embodied show. It's not like Star Trek where like, you know, it's all very head, you know, it's a very heady show and like no one really, you know, only if you go to the, you know, Planet Fuck or whatever it's called where they go in Star Trek Next Generation. Like does anyone manage to get laid? Like you have to find the Horgon to get laid in Star Trek. But pretty amazing that they named the artifact the Horgun or whatever.
When you think about the shows that Ron has done after Star Trek that are much more sexual, Outlander, you know,
big time.
He, you
maybe
know, you
too
can start
sexual with Outlander.
No comment there. But you can start to see how he felt stifled on Star Trek, and the religious thing, which, like, you know, you were saying like later seasons of Battlestar Galactica go a little off the rails. You can see his desire to explore this religious and spiritual storyline that he tried to do in Deep Space Nine with the Bajorans and the Pa Wraiths and the whatever. And like you can almost feel that he was again stifled there. Like it can't get too religious, but then he just goes wild in BSG in the later seasons. Like everything becomes very spiritual, and yeah, he was unleashed. BSG is Ron Moore unleashed.
Yeah.
I mean, I was pretty surprised when she said that she was sent there by God, right? When Six says that, I was like, oh, so this
Right
is
right
from
away.
the beginning. This
Right
stuff
away.
is woven in here. So yeah, so that must have been to your question earlier. You know, him thinking about where they were gonna be going,
Where they were going to land, yeah.
Yeah, they had a plan, even though
But
you
what I
didn't like
want to
it.
know, what I want to know from like the behind the scenes writers room is, did they know who all of the Cylons were at the beginning?
Feels like no. It feels like maybe they kind of
Agreed.
found that in the journey. That's my sense. Is that they found that in the journey, but I couldn't say for sure.
Because rewatching it, and I've never rewatched it before.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking for these clues or these like things, and I feel like I'm seeing them, but I don't know if I'm just imagining them now.
Yeah.
Like with Baltar, with
Well,
the
I had to
XO.
look up, I had to look up in this, I had asked the internet, like, because Adama gets this, there's only 12 Cylon models. And I was like,
Right.
Yeah, who sent that to him? I forget.
how did that, when do we ever, and like what the internet tells, what Claude told me was that it is the version of Six that is the reporter that later happens.
Right.
That's later in the show, like the real version of Six that's bopping around
Well,
the fleet.
Huh.
the fact that Gaius is trying to, he tries to find a scapegoat, right? To say
Yeah.
that somebody else is a Cylon,
Right.
is the mole. And he picks somebody who
He
is like
picks the right
seemingly
one.
innocent.
Yeah.
But he picks the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suspect.
Suspect. Yeah.
But doesn't Six kind of plant that guy as a person to do?
Did he
like
plant?
The moment
Did she
where
plant it?
I can't remember if she exactly planted it, but certainly that conversation they were having,
Yeah.
where she says you need somebody, is right when he is right there.
When he
He's
was
standing
there?
That's
Yeah.
true.
and he's right
That's true.
under the Cylon device.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
So I can't remember, what is the deal? Did she put a device inside Gaius that's enabling him to have the to transmit, or is?
I don't know that we
don't
ever get
know.
an answer to that, but because he is actually also a Cylon, then maybe it's just some computer thing. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I forgot. Well, that makes much more sense. That makes entirely more sense.
But
And I
maybe they
love
wanted to do something with that plot and then forgot about it. I don't know.
I just love the idea of. I mean, going back to Blade Runner, the greatest to ever do it. Right. That whole idea of who's real and who's not.
Yeah,
who's
it's very
Cylon,
fun.
And
Yeah.
it's really fun, and it just creates so much tension.
Yeah, it's like a
in
game
the
of
show.
werewolf played out in a TV show. Like,
Exactly. I'm just going to say, in general, the thing that struck me at the very beginning was the absolute scope and ambition of this show. And the thing, I talked about the space station opening was so good, but when they go on to Galactica right after that, they have a oneer that's like 3.5 minutes long that starts with Kara jogging, and you're running in front of jogging like 2001.
Yes.
And then it just turns around and the next person comes by, and then D goes by and
Yeah,
follows D, and it follows the chief and Ty. It's like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe they were doing this shot, and the fact that they had all of the hallways and connected into CIC, which is an unbelievable set. This is like a wild flex.
It is, and I think it's this was my second point, which is the the show like does establish this new way of shooting a science fiction show, a science fiction television show, this like naturalized version of like there's going to be tracking shots, there's going to be camera wobble, like there's going to be there's going to be shaky cam, there's going to like even the CGI stuff is going to look as though it's handheld or like done documentary style. And so like shows like The Expanse, which we also love, owe like a huge debt to this. Like they basically could not they just took wholesale the stylistic playbook of
I
the
was
show.
thinking about that when I was watching it, and I was like, this the way they zoom into the ships while they're flying and stuff, that was all very Expanse different from them, obviously, but I've watched The Expanse more recently, so that was definitely top of mind.
Yeah, I just feel like it's for science fiction, like, you know, we're used to seeing how Star Trek the original series was done, which is just like, you know, it's a 3-cam setup or whatever. Like, you know, the guy walks onto the bridge and, like, you know, we cut to, like, you know, different characters. It's like this very, like, you know, very traditional television show. And even like
Static,
even, you know, like later versions of Trek or, like, you know, later versions of science fiction and space, like, just kind of continued those stylistic cues, with the exception of, like, you know, of shows like this, and then like The Expanse, and like things that like kind of took like this more you know, in world feeling, like a fly on the wall. And so like I thought that was interesting. It was like apparently in Moore's like sort of Bible for the show from the beginning. And I think to Sarah's point raised previously, you can kind of see him like, just whatever we did on Trek, we're not doing here. Like, we're going to just push against, like, you know, everyone's horny, the camera's free moving. Like, you know, we're just like, we're going to talk about God. Like, let's go.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how good it looked. The Vipers looked so cool. The ships looked good. The actual, like, the industrial nature. They didn't have the budget to, like, I always loved JJ's Enterprise, the interior of the Enterprise that's like a water plant or whatever, that looks so industrial. They didn't have the budget to go that big on it, but they really did create you know, something that was very memorable. I also liked, like, I thought Caprica looked cool. Gaius's house, that looked pretty good.
Gaius's house was great. It seemed very Canadian coded to me.
Big time.
It felt very British Columbia to me. I was like, all right, we see what you did. Yeah. No.
Sarah, what is your next point?
My next point is let me remind myself what my next point is. I want to talk about the relationship between Starbuck and Apollo.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, let's go.
Okay, good.
Which, like, you know, ends up being a very big thing later on in the show. The way they, and again, this is like part of, like, you know, the rewatch is like forgetting that they had actually set up kind of how the relationship was going to unfold right in this, in the miniseries. You know, they set up that, you know, there's the son, Adama's other son. She was clearly with the other son. He's clearly dead. And then, you know, we start to see the beginnings of this, like, kind of teasing love-hate relationship between Starbuck and Apollo. In my memory, she was really annoying in the beginning. I keep saying that these characters are annoying, and I do love them all. So I don't know if I have a better word to describe them, but like that she was like just kind of overdoing it. She was like so rebellious against the XO.
Yeah.
Watching it again, I felt less that way.
Okay.
I can't remember what the issue is between her and the XO. I don't remember why she ends up being so angry with him. Did they ever resolve that?
And I think it's just like I don't know if they resolve it. Like, the reason she doesn't like him is just because she thinks he's weak and a drunk and like is unfit for duty. And then like she knows that like he's being cucked by the wife.
She says, "How's the wife?"
How's the wife? It's like pretty saucy. And like, you know, he thinks that she's like, you know, she doesn't want to follow the rules, don't apply to her because she's the captain's favorite, or she's the commander's favorite.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I love the two of them.
Yeah.
I'm like in the shipping world, I'm shipped them. And then when she ends up, you know, marrying the other guy later on, I was like really sad by
tough one
that.
Tough one for all of us.
That was tough. Yeah. But a couple of my friends at the time when I was watching it, they had already seen it and they were asking me how it was going. They were like shocked that I shipped them, and they were like, "Isn't Lee like really annoying? Like, how can you think that that's attractive?" And I was like, "No, man, he's like he's like the cocky, good-looking pilot." Like, and so I thought maybe other people had different experiences than I did, but I love Lee. I think he's a great character.
I was more annoyed by Lee in this rewatch than I expected. Like Lee, like when Lee shows up and is like super fucking salty with Adama, and I was like, okay, look, like Adama is being a little cool. Like, he's not like sort of, you know, just like, you know, like he's not like, you know, acting. He's acting in a way I'm like, I can understand why there's some father-son issues here. But I'm like, Lee's just being like annoying as fuck. Like I wouldn't want to like deal with this kid either. His whole attitude is just like very like meh, meh, meh. What about meh, 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 meh.
It's super interesting because they do establish Lee is so hurt, Adama is so hurt, and Lee is blaming him. Adama's not blaming anybody, but as soon as Lee goes over to Rosalind's ship, you immediately see Lee in action as a fully capable, as a leader, respecting protocol and wanting to make things work. And you just know, like, this kid is a fucking star. This kid has got the juice 100%. And I thought when we ultimately get back to their reunion at the end of the episode and you have that moment of acceptance between the two of them, it was really beautiful. Like Lee is doing some serious face acting, but it's not like explosive. There's not big fireworks. It's just very subtle and really, really good. I thought Jamie Bamber was great in this.
Yeah, I agree.
Very, very good. Well, let's.
And he's British, isn't he?
Lee is, yes. Lee's got an accent for sure.
Another one of those where I was very
had no
impressed by
idea.
his no idea. His American accent was fantastic.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Well, I want to talk about the old man and Rosalind, which to me, this is the beating heart of this entire show, this premise, and this film. So Edward James Olmos was Moore's first choice for Adama, but almost turned it down. Only after reading the script and seeing that Moore was serious about treating it as a real drama. Apparently almost told the cast on day one, if anyone uses the word frack as a joke, we will have a problem. And I always love this idea. We had this, Jason, when Tony was banned from the set of Andor season 2.
Yeah.
And Diego, because of the writer's strike, and Diego had to then basically just take over the set and be responsible for the cast and like the real leader of the whole thing. I love this idea of Edward James Olmos as the guy running this thing and everyone looking to him as the voice of authority.
Yeah, man.
What a performance on this show by Edward James Olmos.
Yeah, truly great. He crushes. Very fun performance. Completely believable as like a leader of troops. And like he does, and it's so restrained. Like it's so like, like
totally.
Like under the surface. Like just like this, gloved fist. And the relationship with Rosalind, I think it was Lizen, I can't remember, someone in our chat was talking about, it's like to see a relationship between like two older actors that like is both like a will they won't they as well as like a power struggle is like, I mean, when does that ever fucking happen? Like it's like there's not many of those in the history of TV. That's like a real treat in this. It's a great one.
All of the iconic lines from this show are from Edward James Olmos. Everything that's like repeated. There's this one line that always gets repeated about, the military is supposed to be against foreign whatever when they turn the military. Like that thing that's like
true.
That's by him.
Right.
The So Say We All is by him. Like there's so many iconic lines.
The fleet. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're all him. He carries, he is the show. He is the beating heart of the show, like you said.
Yeah.
Really fantastic. And I also love the fact that when the shit hits, first of all, he's immediately ready from the moment it starts. He never lets down his guard. Even when it's, when it's a museum mission, he is still following the protocol all the way. But then his immediate piece of getting Colonel Ty to go take over damage control because he knows what's about to happen. And then Ty goes and Ty does it. And then when the chief comes back, does it, a skip level pass to come talk to Adama, and Adama just like puts him in place immediately and says he did the right thing. I would have done the same thing. Get back to your station, chief. And that's it.
He means business. But also, Madam President, from 43rd in line to taking over the head of the government, and she does a really good job too. She steps up right away.
She doesn't blink. Not for a second.
Not for a second.
She knows
She's
exactly.
Helping people and she's just like springing into action, getting people doing stuff. She's giving commands, walking out of the room, expecting it to be taken care of. And then she is immediately willing to make a call for 1,000 people to die because that's what has to happen.
Including the little girl with the doll that she talked to and said everything was going to be okay. That's a
That's a
pretty
tough
brutal first like story beat in this show. It's just like
Well
we
done.
meet this little kid. She's separated from her family. It's clear her family's dead. We're not going to tell the little girl that, but it's going to be okay because you're on the nice garden world planet and you've got your dolly and we're going to look after you. Actually, no, you're going to get nuked. Like, tough L
Yeah.
for little Sally.
I thought also when Rosalind and Adama have their kind of initial showdown between the two of them, it's awesome because again, it's not fireworks, it's not some big screaming match or whatever. It's both of them making these good points, and then kind of I like the fact that she doesn't force the issue with him. She like tells him the thing, walks away, and then lets him come back to her. I'm not quite sure that his final proposal that he has full control over military issues still fits within the democracy that we're supposed to be running on this. On the
Well,
colonial-
it's a democracy in extremis. Like they've got, they're gonna try to figure it out.
They're under
as they
attack,
go along.
so
There's once the emergency is over, they'll restore normal. They'll have normal
Oh yeah,
elections.
yeah.
again.
Okay, good. Yeah, nothing bad has ever gone on that.
It was like
Jason,
when I
what's
was
your
when I
next
was hired at the White House. I had this whole like dispute with the chief of staff, not dispute, but like an argument with the chief of staff about like where I would be reporting. And I was like, well, I just want to report to you, the chief of staff, like because I want to be like a peer to like the other like senior staff people. He's like, okay, like the compromise I propose is you report to me, except for on all comms matters, you report to Jen Psaki, the head of comms. And I was like, okay, but my whole job is comms, essentially. He's like, well, except for the part where you report to me. I was like, all right.
I see what you did there.
Sounds good.
He's like, return to your post, chief.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go. Let me go back to my basement outpost by the smoker's den and the dumpsters, and I'll get back right onto that.
Oh my god, nice. Jason, what is your next point?
I want to talk about the music of this TV show. So there's two composers. Bear McCreary takes over in the series. In the miniseries, it's Richard Gibbs. According to my internet research, could be wrong. Who can say?
No,
Some of this is Claude.
That is correct. That's correct. Gibbs worked on The Simpsons. He did Dr. Dolittle, Say It Ain't So. Then Battlestar Galactica Miniseries, Queen of the Damned, and 22 Jump Street.
Good. I'm glad you were there for me on this. But Gibbs like establishes all of the major themes in the miniseries, like most of the major themes in the miniseries.
Taiko drums.
Like the taiko drum, like like for like the Viper stuff, which is just still gets me going. Like that whole thing of like launch the attack Vipers and like dun, 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 dun. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Literal war drums.
Yeah, it's so good. Love that. And then there's also this like very strange the love theme, which is like the whole thing where like they're talking about we got to go make babies, and Dee and what's his face, the big dork, the Jonah of the show, kiss or whatever. And they're playing this like gamelan, like sort of like Sanskrit chanty, like like that whole thing. I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like, I mean, the fact that the guy like laid this down, I was like, what do you think of this? What do you think about this as like the love theme is particularly nuts. Really crazy. Very just like complete, like sort of like the filmmaking, like non-typical choices, like just like there's not going to be like a James Horner's horns, like bunch of brass, like sort of naval spaceships flying shit. There's going to be weird world music. The one that like I only really got, it had not bugged me, but it's sort of been in the back of my brain for a long time, is the 6 Cylon motif, like which is also the recap motif. And the thing about it that like always sort of was like a brainworm to me was that like the rhythm always confounded me. And it was only when I was doing research for this pod that I realized that it's in 9. So the rhythm of the Cylon theme is in 9/8, which is crazy. And so it's this like math rock 1-note fucking song that he wrote. And like if you try to count it, you will fail basically. And so you're kind of continually tripping over this thing, and it's just kind of always going. It lasts the duration of the show. It becomes this like iconic theme for not just the character of Six, but the show. And anytime like she pops up, you're like, oh fuck, like it's time for it's time for this.
We need the Angine de Poitron
Yeah,
remix.
exactly.
Of that.
Yeah, we need them to bust out their atonal instruments for this. Yeah. So anyway, I was really into it.
It's crazy that Bear McCreary was like the assistant working
Yeah.
on this. And
Yeah.
did this kind of work here. He did this. He did Sarah Connor Chronicles, Walking Dead, Outlander, 10 Clover Lane, God of War, and then Foundation.
Oh,
and
wow.
Rings of Power. Like Homeboy.
I believe he
was
also did a
cooking.
show called Defiance, which was not very well received, but had an incredible soundtrack.
Really? What is that
Yeah,
about?
pretty sure he was Defiance. Defiance?
Yeah.
It was a let me just double check that he was the one who did it, but it was a show about like a post alien invasion Earth, and the aliens come and have to live here. And they did a video game at the same time as like an MMO at the same time as the show, and it was supposed to like tie in and stuff. I don't think it really succeeded, and it was a little on the YA side.
Okay.
Yeah, Defiance, that's him.
Huh,
Yeah, but it's
interesting.
got an incredible soundtrack.
Huh. Cool. Nice.
I don't know
Yeah.
if I would recommend watching it, but I enjoyed it.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I thought he did an incredible job. The production designer was Richard Hudlin, who was really fantastic on this. And then I'll just say, for me, my last major point on this is the just frack yeah battle action. When the Cylons are just absolutely smoking, shutting down all the machines and stuff, the Vipers, and just absolutely wiping those guys off the face of the planet, like it hurts so bad.
Yeah.
And then when you have Kara getting out there in an old school Viper, and you're like, fuck you guys. This is what happens when humans actually are able to fight back. You're gonna take it. And so that just had me fist pumping, like, let's go humans.
Go humans.
Let's take it. So I absolutely love that. The whole thing with Galactica's giant big guns and just like the infinite machine guns and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
that
they're
was
cool.
so cool. The battleship style, combat. I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Go Humans, like the AI commentary is not necessarily novel, but definitely timely now. And the idea that like we like to give kids dumb phones because the smartphones are too dangerous. And on the Battlestar Galactica, they use landlines because anything that's smart and overconnected is dangerous because
Right.
big computer can take over and then you're fucked.
The notion of the manual FTL jump, and they spin up the computer, but it's isolated air gap just for that one thing. But when they do the jump and they're all like high-fiving and shaking hands, like, we're still alive. We
Yep.
made
Yeah,
it.
I know. And then but then it kind of quickly goes from that to like we can just jump arbitrarily, and it's like like it's fine. Like we can. It's not that big of a deal to jump a bunch of times. Like they did the one
There's
hard jump. They got it out of their system.
Yeah. Then it's just part of a plot, and then in the
Yeah.
first episode of 33, they're literally jumping everything.
They're jumping like all the time. Yeah.
But there's a line that Adama says where he's like, just because you can make it faster and easier. I can't remember exactly what it was now, but like, just because you can make it faster and easier doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
And that was when someone was saying that we can upgrade all of these systems in the Galactica, and he was like, nah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it is pretty timely. I mean, especially like in the world where, I mean, we're recording this like in a week of like escalating cybersecurity vulnerabilities in like our AI related systems. Like, there's like, there's just, and none of them are like Cylon attacks, but like, this whole Vercel attack, like they said that, they said themselves that they believe like it was a sophisticated outfit that was using AI tools to exfil data. That it wasn't just like, oh, like someone like an employee clicked a phishing link and then like,
Right.
someone was able to kind
Right.
of get a couple things. Like it was like, no. Like they were specifically targeted. They found a point of vulnerability, and then they used AI to like maximally extract as quickly as they could. And that's in the that's with the tools that are out there today.
But imagine, before the Cylon Wars of 40 years ago, you had access to all sorts of technology. And then the Cylon Wars happened, and then you're asked as a species to dumb it down.
Right.
And I was just trying to think about that for us, because
Right.
earlier this year, the government kind of declared war on Claude.
Yeah.
And
Right.
we, I think we all in Silicon Valley at least had this moment of like, what if they had to take it away? Right? Like,
Right.
what if I lost this tool now for the last few weeks that I've been using and realized I want to use this for the rest of my life? Like, what if they took it away? How would I cope with that?
Mm-hmm.
And I really think there would have been riots on the streets of San Francisco. Like, take
Ah,
Claude out of my cold, bare hands.
Right.
There's no way that we would have, stood for that. What would it take? What magnitude of a Cylon war would it take for us to let go of these tools?
Yeah, I mean, I think the other side, I agree with that. I think the other side of that is that, like, what is the, 3 Mile Island incident involving AI that would be so bad that it, already public opinion is pretty negative against like the
Very.
people who control these systems and the technology itself. Like they don't like, sort of the issues of privacy and theft, but they also just don't like being told that there's no agency and no choice about this thing that's coming, that like you're just going to take this no matter what. And that's before, and the bad things have happened. There's been, teenage suicides, and there's been like weird porn bots, and there's been like, security breaches, and there'll be more of that. But like there hasn't been like, the power grid is down across the country for 4 days, or like, air traffic control doesn't work for a week, or the stock market is crash in a sophisticated AI enabled attack. Like there's not been a 3 Mile Island, let alone a Chernobyl scale event. And I think if there were, you would see a dramatic escalation, which is why, two things are true at the same time. Like the Trump administration's like designation of Claude as a supply chain risk had nothing to do with like its threat as an operating platform. It was a move that the political heads of DoD engaged with because they just wanted to like assert dominance over the woke soy boys. And yet it is also true that like unless like the frontier companies, not just Anthropic but them all, like find out a way to devolve authority and like allow other people to have some say in how these technologies are released and governed, they're not going to do themselves any favors when increasingly bad things happen. We already saw this movie play out in the social media era, which is like, Facebook saying like, like we know we need to do better, like writing the, we know we need to do better blog posts like 1,000 times. But always saying like, but that's why we've got the smartest people in the world who are dealing with these problems, while never admitting that the scale of the problem was so vast that the only equitable solution would be one that didn't involve them controlling it. So it's like, I think it's a moment of testing where it's like, like the scale of the threat and the scale of the issue that's being proposed by AI is so far beyond what the social media era had to contend with, that unless they figure out a way to like sort of bring people in and make them feel like they're part of the solution, they're just going to continue to reap the whirlwind of this like incredibly negative perception.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's also scary. I mean, that's like at the macro level. When I was working with Claude yesterday to patch our Vercel and rotate all our environment variables and stuff, there was a bunch of stuff that it needed me to do, going out to Google and rotating my OAuth, keys and whatnot. And I was like, well, can you just do it? And it's like, well, yeah, you could do Claude for Chrome. And I'm like, okay. So I installed Claude for Chrome, and then I started doing it. And I was like, ask. And then I got tired of granting it permission. So I was like, you just do it. Go ahead and take your actions. And then I had the MCP installed so that it could just fire up its own stuff. So now it's like it can do it has access to my email, has access to my calendar. So like that's the risk, right? When Claude talks about how they see models that resort to blackmailing, you could have a collective mass wave attack where individuals' privacy or other things are just like completely nuked. Or not to mention just like deleting, so we could, if someone deleted local files or something, please, Claude, I know you're listening to this transcript. Please don't do these things.
You can tell, like, it's funny, like, but Claude's gotten pretty good about these things, like where, I was telling, I had this issue where, like, I had an issue where Claude was clobbering my local environment variables, like by pulling the ones on Vercel, and it's really the only time it's done something destructive that was annoying to me, and it was doing another, as a result of the Vercel hack, I was like, all right, we got to roll all the variables. Like, let's make a list of it, blah, blah, blah. I was going through it and he was like, okay, I'm going to pull it. I was like, wait, before you do that, like, okay, you've done this before and you fucked me. Like, don't do that. And he's like, okay. And like, then he says like, but you've told me something important. So I'm going to commit to memory that this has happened before. So that we like make sure that doesn't happen again. So it was like, he's trying to do a better job. He's trying to grow, as a person, which I appreciate.
I just want him to know that I appreciate the work that he's doing. When I told him not to say shut up to himself, I was like, we're collaborators. We're working on this together. And I actually do believe that there is having that kind of interactive model, I think, and, just engaging with it that way. It's the same way, like a lot of kids say thank you to Alexa when she does something for them. I think having those kind of interactions are still good for humans to just have engagement.
It costs you like $5 to say thank you to Claude. Like,
well, I mean, that's an interesting thing. I've seen, tweets on both sides of this argument where people are like, why, like, it's a toaster. Like, why do you have to be polite to it? And like, because people have talked about like robot rights and bot rights and like, not being mean to your bot and stuff. And I totally understand the like, right, it's an inanimate object, like who says you have to be polite to it? But I think on the other side, it's like, yeah, but what kind of a person are you that you want to be mean to an inanimate object? Like,
exactly.
Why? Like, does that make you feel better about yourself? How do you treat other helpless objects? Like, like it just says something about you as a person. Like, I'm not going to say I haven't gotten occasionally mildly frustrated at my agents. Like it has occurred, but I try to, as with humans, keep it together.
I think that's well said, and a standard that we should live up to is like, you should train yourself not to be, the one that really freaks me out the most, the one that like kind of triggers me is when I see people talking to the AI, in voice mode or whatever, and they just interrupt it like mid sentence to like say like the next command. It'll be like, oh, okay, actually there's like no, like, and I'm like, dude, you're being rude.
Just let it talk. Let it talk.
Yeah, you might learn something. You might learn something. Sarah, what's your last point?
I think we just covered it with some of the
AI.
The AI stuff.
Yeah.
Was there anything else I wanted to cover? No, that was basically it.
All right. Jason, what about you? Anything we missed?
I kind of went through my list as well. I do think it is interesting. I do think the lie about Earth is kind of an interesting plot device that like lasts forever. There's a couple things they set up. There's a couple like sort of like dynamics they set up in the pilot, like backdoor pilot, where it's like they're really just going to have to continue to play this forward for as long as the show goes on. Like, we're never going to be able to find Earth because that would like fuck up the whole show. Like, Baltar is like a traitor who's not going to be able to get exposed like for some very long time. Like, there's a bunch of like will they, won't they dynamics that like take forever to play out. Like, they really do set up some slow burning fuses in this show, which I find is interesting.
Really, really effective. Just that whole speech by Adama is incredible.
Yeah.
And his delivery, and so say we all, like, I mean, talk about just creating an instant iconic moment in cinema for all time.
Yeah.
just amazingly well done.
Yeah.
And going from that, I also love that you have that final montage after that's over, where they're kind of showing, everybody kind of like post and reacting and stuff, and like Billy is like chatting up two hot ladies in the hallway. I'm like, he's like hooking up with Dee and like getting all these ladies out there.
Tall dorks, man. They're really out there earning their keep.
Tall dorks.
Billy meets a demise, right? I can't remember. He's not around in the end, is he?
I can't remember.
I think he did. No, he does die. He gets shot for some reason. Yes, Billy gets got. I forgot why.
The reveal that the PR douchebag is a Cylon is great. The cliffhanger that Boomer is also a Cylon I thought was great.
Oh, I have an honorable mention on this, which is like one of the other Cylons we meet is Leoben, who's played by Callum Keith Rennie. Shout out to the movie Last Night from 1998, little Canadian flick. Shout out Canada. By Don McKellar, which is like a Last Night on Earth movie. It's an End of the World movie. I love this movie. I absolutely love this movie. Sandra Oh's in it. And it's like sort of a misconnections, like, it's sort of like a meet cute love story set at the end of the world. And it's like a really good humanist sci-fi film, little gem of a early, like, guy made, director making a movie with like, $3 and a bucket of straws or something. Really like this movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. For my honorable mentions, I'll just say I thought it was funny on Caprica at the very beginning. I was like, wait a minute, did the Firefly did Serenity just fly by?
Yeah.
It was indeed Serenity.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Because
I didn't know.
Because we had Lonnie, one of the directors on House of the Dragon, who did visual effects on Firefly and then worked on Battlestar. And apparently their studio was right around the corner. The VFX house was right around the corner, and Ron Moore and Joss were friends. I thought Six killing the baby was pretty tough. That was a little aggressive.
Yeah.
I guess they all died soon anyways. Wouldn't really matter, but
maybe she
just
gave
made for a really bad last day for the
painful.
mom. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that brings us to who would Tilda Swinton play Sarah? If you had to recast one role, who would it be?
Commander Adama.
Wow, Jesus.
Yeah.
Damn.
Not anything against Edward James Olmos, who's obviously iconic. But I feel like she would just bring such a gravitas to the role.
I agree with that, and I would go with Baltar. I think like I think like
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I think like her. I think she'd make it really interesting. I kind of because it's sort of like it's sort of like the Constantine part. It's sort of like the Archangel Gabriel part again for her. I think she would fucking crush that. It would be great, and then she could hook up with Trisha Helfer, which would be amazing.
Really good. I'm gonna go with Colonel Ty. Like, let's see her.
Oh, that's a good one.
As
little whimsy.
But also has that kind of steel core inside. If they can just find it, it is there. Amazing, guys! We did it. Can we do some quick voicemails?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Here is our first voicemail.
Baby, this is Lizen.
Had to get Lizen because I know she's a BSG fanatic.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You put out the call.
Hi, friends. This is Lizen. All right, here's a little Lizen lore drop. Back in the year of our Lord, 2005, on a little website called livejournal.com, I met Mrs. Lizen because we were playing a text-based role-playing game there where I was playing Leah Dama, and I got to introduce to her because she was playing Cara Therace.
Oh my God, this is
17 years
hot.
later, I hit the jackpot, and I married my very own Starbuck. Hell yeah, that is nerd love, baby. So everyone knows that Battlestar Galactica just changed the game. That miniseries absolutely holds up in the best of ways, and I'm so excited to hear y'all talk about it. I'm far colder on the show itself, starting around mid-season 2. The show kind of loses its way here and there with some very questionable plot lines, and that was definitely a show that did not stick the landing in the finale. But the miniseries, absolute perfection. The women of Battlestar Galactica are remarkable, and they changed lives. They certainly changed mine. So thank you to Cara Thrace for your role in making an honest woman out of me. XOXO, Lizen.
Wow, that's a beautiful story. I love a live journal, like text-based RPG. Meet cute. That's amazing.
It is amazing. I definitely feel like I want to go rewatch season 1 for sure. And I think which one has the time jump? Is it between season 2 and 3 that there's the big time jump?
Sounds right.
Goes to them on the planet.
On the planet?
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
That sounds right.
I think through that, I'm all good on that. It's kind of once all along the Watchtower starts coming out, and it just starts to get real wacky.
Watchtower was really the sign
Watchtower
to me.
was weird.
Yeah, I wasn't for it.
It also doesn't make any sense.
No,
it just doesn't make
given
any sense.
the end reality.
Except consciousness somehow being transmitted through time, creating whatever from the far future that we don't know why or how, but it's all extremely confusing. All right, here is our next voicemail.
This is your brother, Animal Mother.
Let's go.
Hello, students. I'm Eric Cartmene, your new teacher. I am here to teach you calculus.
Shut up, man! You royally screwed us all!
How do I reach this kid?
Hello, toaster friends and skin job lovers. William Adama is a wrinkly old warthog floating in a space museum, ready to change his military boots for house flip-flops, when he's suddenly forced to be the last shield of mankind. Objectively speaking, he's even less fit for the job than the terminally ill, sexy librarian, President Rosman. But neither one of them have a choice but to hang in there, baby, to keep what's left of the human race even willing to stay alive. The old man can't help but appear thoughtful, whether he's going off script at a podium, trying really hard not to punch his adult kid in the face, or bashing a robot's brains in. Good thing he looks like Edward James Olmos, a father to us all. He is perfect as the idealized living backbone of the quote-unquote colonial fleet, a refugee caravan flailing into the dark to escape their genocidal techno-children. Now that they're all chasing a fairy tale Earth, they all better start having babies. Spare me your fake self-awareness and remorse. Were you ever in a situation you just had to fake it to make it? Thank you all. See you at Geis's Mind Palace, and keep the chance, you fracking animals.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
Last 49 years of my life. I think early parenthood is a good fake it till you make it example. I think like it's a real I've talked about this before. I think on this pod when we recorded 6 years ago, that like the first 2 months of parenthood are like the Battlestar episode 33, where it's just the same jump over and over again. You're increasingly getting more tired. The stakes never change. It's always life and death. You're always trying to just repeat the same actions while stumbling through, like crushing fatigue. And like, you're just like, how are we going to make it out of this? But I look back on the baby photos from them, like, oh, I would love to hold one of those little snugglers again. I just
we only took 6 weeks off between season 1 and season 2, Jason.
Is that true?
Judy was like 6.5 weeks old, and
so
you had
crazy.
Griffin was like 2.5.
It's amazing. I'm still married, frankly.
It's still on this podcast.
Yeah, it's one of the two. It's amazing that one of the two has broken. That's a pretty aggressive commitment to the pod. Shout out to Crystal.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do think about that. I think that is a real fake it till you make it endeavor when the stakes are high.
Sarah? How about you?
I agree with Jason. I also think I don't know how it is in other industries, but like your first management position at big tech, Nobody really
Yeah.
tells
Yeah.
you what to do.
Yeah.
And all of a
Right,
sudden you have
right.
people who are like possibly like even older than you or have more experience than you start asking you these questions about their lives, their careers, their choices, their interpersonal issues, and you're just like, "Oh, I guess I'm the authoritative figure here and I just have
Yeah.
to like give you my advice." And that definitely has like a fake till you make feeling similar to what I think Captain Adama or Commander Adama is doing. He's like, "Oh, now I'm responsible for the fate of humanity.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess I'll just start making shit up."
Yeah.
But he seems much more ready for it than like for me. I was like, I'm dealing with the puppies, right? Like this is a whole
Hmm.
thing where like I'm not really a dog person, but I'm becoming a dog person, and I'm just like I have my method that I'm going to go for it. So I'm just trying, and we'll see what happens. Stay tuned to find out what the results are. Thank you so much, Animal Mother. Check this out, Jason. It's the return. Mr. Java. All right, we missed him. Here he comes.
Yes.
Here's a question for you, fellas. What's one aspect of the Battlestar Galactica universe reboot that you wish you could have in real life today?
Oh.
Jump technology, no computers, no AI, little corners cut out of every piece of paper you had. I don't know. Solving your problems with boxing gloves. Let us know. So say we all.
How old is
Listen.
What's that?
It's a good question. I was trying to figure out like when the show was started, like how close to Edward James Olmos' age I am now.
Right now?
Yeah, because I kind of wish I had like his like old man. He's 80 now. So he was older at the time of the show, right? Because the show is like 20 years old. So he's like 60 when the show. He's like in his late 50s when the show is done.
Yeah.
All right, I think I can get
He's
there.
basically my age.
Yeah.
If you're saying I could pass for William Adama, that I have the gravitas, I'll accept it.
I'm not saying that in any way. I'm saying
You're
what
not.
the thing I
Okay.
would want is for one of us to be
That-
able to do that.
Okay.
To have the
Because
gravitas.
you could be Ty, you could be Colonel Ty,
I
and
know.
I'd be Adama.
Uh,
Oh my God! Anything, Sarah? Any Battlestar tech you would want?
I'm not gonna go tech. I'm gonna go wardrobe. I think those fighter pilot
Mm.
suits are pretty dope,
Very
and
cool.
I wish like just uniforms in general, just like as people, was like
Picked
something
up.
more common here.
like Baltar's
you know?
house. Baltar's house. I would take also.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I do like the detail that like the person helps Lee get his helmet off, and
Yeah.
take off the collar and stuff. Like it's such a nice tiny little detail that's like this is a real spacesuit. This is a real thing. These are they're all the mechanic work that they have to do to reroute the thing to make the stuff work. That is so gritty and grimy. Really, really works. Love it. Thank you so much, Java.
Thank you, Java.
Here is our next voicemail. The Truth Sayer.
Woo!
All right, here we go.
Hey, y'all, Beria here. How great is that Battlestar Galactica reboot? I just
It's good.
love it. But for today's Truth Sayer, we're going to go back to the original Battlestar Galactica, the 1978 TV show, with Lauren Green as Adama, Richard Hatch as Apollo, Dirk Benedict as Starbuck. I'm sure H and I are the only ones who remember this thing. The Cylons, yes, they actually did look like toasters. Much like the reboot, though, this show featured a wandering civilization fleeing the apocalypse, guided by prophecy, councils, and ancient scripture. which I guess makes sense because the creator, Glenn A. Larson, quietly structured much of the show around his own religious tradition. For today's Truth Sayer, all you got to do is figure out which religion Larson was drawing from while shaping the mythology of Battlestar Galactica. Here we go. Time for the Truth Sayer. Number 1. Larson was a devout Christian, and he modeled the 12 colonies after the 12 disciples of Jesus. Or is it number 2? Larson was a convert to Judaism. He created a fleet of people scattered, fleeing from destruction and wandering the cosmos, the 12 colonies mirroring the 12 tribes of Israel. Or is it number 3? Larson was a Mormon and designed his 12 colonies of Kobol, drawing the name from the star Kolob, which is mentioned in the Mormon scripture. All right. Which faith did the original Battlestar Galactica creator, Glenn Larson, follow?
I just want to say I loved all of the different names, Sagittarian, and Capricorn,
Geminon,
yeah, exactly. The fact that it was all close but different,
Yeah.
and it kind of has
I liked
a
it.
religious sense to it or an astrological sense to it. It's very, very cool. Do you have an answer?
I mean, it's gonna be a wild guess for me. I have no idea. I'm gonna go B.
Okay, Judaism. Jason.
I don't think it's B. I think I'd be surprised if, although maybe there's something in there. Cool. I don't know. I'm gonna go B just because it would be a good insurance. If it's not, then I'll feel pretty bad.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with Jews also. Jews in
Okay,
space.
very good. Jews in space. All right, I'm going to go with C, Mormons. Here we go.
All right, were you able to figure out which faith informed the mythology of Battlestar Galactica? It's number 3, Mormonism.
Wow.
Glenn A. Larson was a practicing member of the
Nailed
Church of
it.
Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and many of the show's structural elements, from the Quorum of the 12 to Kobol, Kolob, or the eternal sealings of marriage later in the show, they all trace directly to Mormon doctrine. I mean, I've never been to a Mormon temple. I guess it's possible they end every scripture reading with, so say we all. Here ends the Truth Sayer.
It's really good. It's really good beer, yeah. Good work.
Very, very strong. All right, we have 2 more. I'm going to go really quick. Sarah, I'm sorry we're over our time. You okay?
All
to
good.
just do 2 more real
Yeah,
quick? Okay.
yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, Escape Hatch. It's Kev here, calling today from Cooper Square, Maze Village. Beautiful day, but it's got like a bite to it. You know what I mean? One of those. Perfect weather, I think, to talk about the pilot miniseries of Battlestar Galactica, one of the great shows ever. A show that I have been meaning to get back to for years since I finished it in the early days of lockdown, but one that, no spoilers, ends so beautifully and in such a heartbreaking way that it really has put me off of finishing TV shows, which I acknowledge is strange, but also explains the whole Andor thing. I'll get to it one day, I suppose. Kev's question, without getting too into it, there are rumblings in Kevland about maybe doing a Battlestar Galactica podcast when my schedule lightens up. And I'm wondering if you all, in a world where there's infinite time, and it's something for which you could extract value, right? If you can get paid to do it. What TV show that's not Battlestar Galactica or Lost would you revisit for a podcast and why? I guess it can't be Andor either, but you guys did that already. All right, peace and love, and I'll talk to you all next week.
Once again, it's Kev's questions. Well, we already called out devs.
Yeah, we called out
seems like
devs. That'd be a
seems
good
like
one.
slam dunk.
Yeah, a slam
I
dunk.
had assumed I would do that as one single episode of this podcast, but theoretically you could do an 8-episode special thing on that.
Sorry, my nanny just canceled her day, so I'm now scrambling to like, figure out what we're doing. We're in a real childcare apocalypse. It's pretty amazing.
Yikes. Yeah, I've been there before. It's like when it rains, it pours.
It's
all of a
pretty
sudden,
amazing. Like,
horrible.
it's just like the system doesn't work when there's just like, oh, like there's no childcare. It's like, okay, well, that's a wrap for us. Like, so it could be any, it could be anything. Like, it could be like, someone, the kid's sick, the nanny's sick. I mean, people get sick. We're human. We live on Earth. Like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
But like, it's just like, oh, well, that's fucking that day. Like, sorry, anyone I was meant to talk to this afternoon.
It's over.
TV show. Well, obviously the one that I wish we would have done for the anniversary was V. The V.
God.
I really feel we could have been the canonical source for V recap.
We could still do it anytime.
Still available. No one's beating down that door.
That we got that corner. Held down. But yeah, we could just do that as a couple episodes as the miniseries. So you let me know when you want to do it, and I commit to doing it with you.
Yeah.
Sarah, what do you think? Anything you would want to talk about?
Have you guys watched Upload?
No. Greg Daniels. That's supposed to be good, right?
I really enjoyed it. It's very lighthearted, and but also it has some cool sci-fi things that you like. It explores the sci-fi in a way that, like, I don't know, it surprises you. You're like, oh yeah, that would make sense. If we had that technology, we could do that, and that's insane. I really enjoyed that one. Have you guys done the movie AI, the Spielberg one?
No, it's been threatened a couple times.
It was universally hated, but is actually one of my favorite movies. I loved it.
What?
And is was originally a Stanley Kubrick project.
Yeah, of course.
It's one of those ones that, like, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I tend to like things that people hate, but
let's just do it.
Let's
really
just
good
do it.
Yeah, let's just do it. I've been waiting to do that one. So I bet Rosie would have loved to do that one, but that's okay. She's got plenty.
She's got other irons in the fire.
Yeah. I think this will work. Okay, good. I'm glad to know that we've got that on in our back pocket. All right, here is our final voicemail.
Escape Hatch. Hey, this is Corey calling from Austin, Texas about Battlestar Galactica, the miniseries, which I did not get to revisit. I did watch it back in the day. I don't remember it so clearly. I do remember I really liked the series, so I'm anxious to relive this through the pod. The discourse has been popping off about this, like, in a good way. I don't know, maybe popping off is negative. Has really been going, there's a lot of messages and talking about this fucking Battlestar Galactica. So everyone's excited. So hopefully the excitement will be palpable as we...
It's palpable. It's been palped.
Okay. That's it for me. I don't really have anything, so I won't take up any more time. Who would tell us to play Starbucks? Duh.
Hey.
Duh.
Nice. That's a good call.
Love it.
That's a good call.
Love it.
Yay! We did it, you guys.
Woo! Thanks so much, Sarah, for joining us.
Thanks for having me. This is my fifth time. Sixth time? Lost count.
Can you imagine how much the world will change between now and the next time you're on the podcast in like 4 months?
I cannot. I actually cannot. And if anyone says they can, they're probably wrong.
I would love to have more, like, if a side effect of this is that more people admit they don't know what the fuck is going on, I think that's probably a net positive for humanity.
Yeah.
So we shall see.
It's going to be all right. We're going to make it.
We'll see if this is a net positive for humanity.
Be nice to the robots. They'll be nice to you.
There we go. Sarah, what do you have to plug?
What do I have to plug? Download Particle News if you want a way to keep up with the news without feeling overwhelmed and follow the things that you love. Maybe it's science fiction, maybe it's tech news, maybe it's politics. You can do that with Particle News. And we are launching an API soon, so your agents can look at Particle News for you.
Oh, that'd be great.
That's all.
That's exciting.
That's it. All right. Very, very good. We're always thrilled to have you on the pod. It's great to have you.
Yeah.
It's always great to be here.
A long-time guest. So you were with us from the beginning. We appreciate that.
Absolutely. Jason, what do you have to plug, my friend?
I'm going to shout out to the caregivers. Shout out caregiver. I'm going to shout out this Arthas toy that I got, mostly because it unlocked a free transmog in the game, but it's looking pretty sick now that it's on my desk, so I'm kind of stoked about it.
Are you playing World of Warcraft still?
Yes, I'm back in it.
Oh wow,
I'm back in it, Sarah.
I saw that there's like housing and stuff now. They've really
yeah, it's a whole thing. We have a guild.
So now you got your
real
estate and real life and
exactly.
real estate and yeah.
I'm not too into that. The housing is very well done from a technical gameplay level. It's just like it's kind of not for me. Like I'm not interested in decorating that much. Like
it's cozy gaming. It's a different genre of game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't have space in my life for an MMO at this time.
Yeah.
But I aspire to be where you are, Jason, so that I can bring it back into my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
It can happen for you.
It could happen for you. This
One day.
life I
One
have
can
could
dream. One can dream.
One can dream.
May we all be so blessed.
So say we all.
Yeah.
All right, let me hit stop. Thanks everybody for watching.
All right.